You are stopped at a red light. It's late. The street is empty. Your turn signal clicks in the silence. You check your mirror out of habit, and your stomach drops. Red and blue lights. Right behind you. No siren. Just the slow, deliberate roll to a stop. The officer hasn't stepped out yet. He's sitting there, writing something, watching. And right now, in this 10, 15, maybe 30 seconds before he reaches your window, something is happening that most people never even notice. Something that will decide everything that follows. Most people think the interaction starts when the officer says, "License and registration." That's wrong. It started the second those lights came on. But the most dangerous moment, the one where most people accidentally sabotage themselves without saying a single word, that happens before the officer even knocks on your glass. Let me ask you something. Think honestly. If those lights appeared behind you right now, what would your body do first? Would you freeze? Would you start reaching for your glove box? Would your hand go to your phone? Would your heart start slamming against your ribs so hard you can feel it in your throat? Pause for a second and answer that in your head. Better yet, comment it. Seriously. I'll wait. Because here's the thing most people get wrong. They think the goal is to act normal. But acting normal when you're not normal is impossible. And the officer standing behind that cruiser, he's trained to see the difference in less than 3 seconds. This is not a video about your rights, although we'll touch on those. This is not a video about whether the stop was justified. This is about the 5 minutes that change everything. And specifically, the 30 seconds that most people throw away without even realizing they had them. I'm going to show you what experienced lawyers know, what former law enforcement officers know about the window of time before that first knock. Because what you do in those seconds doesn't just affect the ticket. It affects whether you drive away, whether you get searched, whether you get handcuffed, and whether something that started as a minor traffic issue turns into something that follows you for years. Here's the promise of this video. By the time you finish watching, you will understand a simple sequence of actions that takes less than 20 seconds. You will understand why panic politeness is just as dangerous as open hostility. You will understand the psychology of that first impression from the officer's perspective, something almost no civilian considers, and you will never sit at a red light the same way again. Stay with me, because this next part matters more than anything else. Let me take you inside the mind of the person in that cruiser. Because most people imagine the officer is thinking, "I got him. Let me go write a ticket." That's not what's happening. Here's the reality. That officer, right now, is running your license plate before he even opens his door. He's looking at your car's make, model, condition. He's noting whether you stopped immediately or rolled another 50 feet. He's watching your brake lights, your dome light, your hands inside the car. And here's the psychological anchor you need to remember. That officer's #1 priority is not enforcement, it's survival. Every traffic stop is classified in training as one of the most dangerous routine activities in law enforcement. Officers are killed during traffic stops every single year. And that means before he cares about your expired registration or your rolling stop, he cares about one question. Am I walking up to a problem? That's it. That's the secret that changes everything. Everything you do before he reaches your window is feeding the answer to that question. And here's the part nobody talks about. Most people, without meaning to, answer that question wrong, because their nervous system takes over. And what does the nervous system do? It moves, it fidgets, it reaches for the glove box to find the registration. It unbuckles the seatbelt to twist around and grab the wallet from the back pocket. It looks down, it looks away, it starts digging through the center console. And to the officer watching from 40 feet away, that movement is not someone getting their documents ready. That movement looks like someone hiding something, reaching for something, or preparing for something. Because he can't see your hands clearly, he can't see your face clearly. All he sees is silhouette and motion. And motion before the approach is the single biggest red flag in a traffic stop. Let me give you a real example. A few years ago, a case came across a legal blog I follow, and I'm going to anonymize the details, because the point is the pattern, not the names. The driver gets pulled over for a minor lane deviation. Normal stop, nothing aggressive. But the driver, who is nervous, immediately starts reaching into the back seat to grab his work bag so he can find his insurance card. The officer approaches, sees the driver twisted around, one hand off the wheel, torso turned away. The officer draws his weapon, yells commands. The driver freezes, terrified, and in that freeze, his foot slips off the brake. The car rolls forward 6 inches. The officer perceives that as a threat. The situation escalates in 3 seconds from a warning to drawn weapons to the driver face down on the asphalt. And it all started because of movement, not because of drugs, not because of a weapon, because of movement. The driver had no criminal intent. He was just trying to be helpful. That's the tragedy. Trying to be helpful got him a felony stop. Now, I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because the difference between that outcome and a calm 5-minute have a good night is not luck. It's a set of deliberate actions you can learn, and it starts with the first thing you do when those lights come on. Here's the wrong way. Most people, when they see the lights, immediately start looking for a place to pull over. And while they're looking, they keep driving. Maybe they put on their blinker, maybe they slow down, but they keep moving for another block, sometimes 2. They're trying to be courteous, find a well-lit area, a parking lot, a wide shoulder. That's thoughtful. But here's the problem. From the officer's perspective, a driver who keeps driving after the lights come on is a driver who is stalling. Every second you continue moving, his suspicion compounds. He doesn't know you're looking for a safe spot. He only knows you didn't stop. And in his training, failure to stop immediately is associated with people who have something to hide, people who are buying time to ditch something, or people who are about to flee. So here's the smart move. The second you see those lights, you do 3 things in under 5 seconds. First, you acknowledge. Turn on your right turn signal immediately. That single action, the blinker, is a nonverbal signal that says, I see you and I am complying. Second, you stop, not in the middle of an intersection, not on a blind curve, but you stop as soon as it is reasonably safe to do so. If that means pulling onto the shoulder immediately, you do it. If that means taking the very next driveway, you take it. You do not drive past 3 safe spots looking for the perfect one. Third, and this is where almost everyone fails, you stop the car, put it in park, and then you do absolutely nothing else with your body. You keep your hands on the wheel, you keep your eyes forward, you do not reach, you do not unbuckle, you do not turn around, you do not dig through your purse or your glove box or your center console. You sit and you wait. That waiting period, that silence, that stillness is the most powerful tool you have. Because here's what the officer sees. He sees a vehicle that stopped promptly. He sees turn signal on. He sees a driver with both hands visible at 10 and 2. He sees a driver who is not fumbling, not hiding, not reaching. And that driver, statistically, is not a threat. That driver is a citizen. That driver is safe. And the officer's nervous system, which is running its own threat assessment, whether he wants it to or not, will downgrade you from potential problem to routine stop before he even leaves his car. Now I can feel some of you thinking, but I need to get my license and registration ready. Shouldn't I be efficient? No, and I mean that strongly. No, efficiency is the enemy here. Because here's what happens if you start reaching for your documents now. You'll be fumbling when he approaches. He'll see movement. He'll knock on the glass. You'll be startled. You'll drop something. You'll look guilty. You'll apologize. And apologizing while looking guilty reads as admission. You have created exactly the wrong energy. Instead, here's what the best criminal defense attorneys will tell you. You wait until the officer is standing at your window. You wait until he makes eye contact. You wait until he asks you for your documents. And then, and only then, do you say, Officer, my license is in my back pocket. My registration is in the glove box. How would you like me to reach for them? That sentence changes everything. Because now you have done 3 things at once. You have informed him of your movements before you make them. You have given him the choice. And you have signaled that you are aware of his safety concerns. That sentence is a psychological handshake. It says, I am not a threat, and I respect that you don't know that yet. Let me pause here and ask you a question. Have you ever been pulled over and felt your brain just shut off? Like you knew what to say, but your mouth wouldn't cooperate? That's not weakness. That's biology. That's your amygdala hijacking your prefrontal cortex. And the reason I'm explaining this is not to shame you, it's to tell you that you can pre-decide, you can rehearse. You can make the right actions automatic so that when your brain wants to panic, your body already knows what to do. That's what elite performers do. That's what pilots do in emergencies. That's what you can do right now, sitting in your chair watching this video. So let me walk you through the full sequence from the moment those lights appear. I want you to visualize this. You're driving. You see the lights. Your turn signal goes on immediately. You slow down. You find the first safe place to stop. You pull over completely. You put the car in park. You turn off the engine. This is optional but highly recommended. You roll down all your windows, all of them, front and back. Because an officer approaching a car with tinted windows or closed windows has to assume there's something he can't see. Rolling down the windows is a gesture of transparency. It says, I have nothing to hide. And here's a pro tip most people don't know. If it's dark outside, turn on your dome light. Yes, your interior light. That way the officer can see inside your car clearly before he even reaches the door. That small act of courtesy is so rare that officers remember it. It shifts the entire emotional tone of the interaction. Now your hands go back to the steering wheel. Your left hand at 10 o'clock, right hand at 2 o'clock. You sit still. You do not look back at the officer. Looking back is interpreted as monitoring his movements, which feels aggressive. Instead, you use your side mirror to track his approach. You keep your face forward, your posture relaxed but alert. And then he arrives. He'll usually stand at your left rear quarter panel first. That's the safe spot. He'll look inside. He'll see your hands on the wheel. He'll see the dome light on. He'll see the windows down. And then he'll walk to your window. Here's where most people break. He says, "Good evening. Do you know why I pulled you over?" And immediately, most people start talking. They apologize, they explain, they over-explain. They volunteer information that was never requested. "I'm sorry, I was looking at my GPS. I didn't see the speed limit change. I just came from work. I'm really tired. I'm almost home." Stop. Every word you say beyond what is requested is a word that can be used, not in a paranoid way, in a factual way. Because if you say, "I'm tired," and the officer smells coffee on your breath, Now he's wondering if you're impaired. If you say, "I was looking at my GPS," and he saw you swerve, now he has an admission of distracted driving. The smart move is simple and almost impossible for nervous people to execute. You say, "Good evening, officer," and then you stop. You let him lead, you answer his questions directly, truthfully, and briefly. Yes, no, I don't know. Short sentences. No stories, no excuses, no explanations. But here's the counterintuitive part. Silence is not suspicious. Silence, when you are calm, reads as confidence, and confidence reads as innocence. The nervous talker, the person who fills every silence with chatter, reads as someone trying to manage your perception of them. And people who are trying to manage your perception usually have a reason. Let me tell you about a case that changed how I think about this. A friend of mine, former prosecutor, now defense attorney, told me about a client who got pulled over for a broken taillight, open and shut, warning or fix-it ticket. But the client was so nervous that he started explaining before the officer even asked. "I know it's broken. I was going to fix it tomorrow. My mechanic is on vacation. I've been working double shifts. I just haven't had time." The officer, who hadn't even mentioned the taillight yet, got suspicious. Why is this guy so defensive about a taillight? So the officer asked if he could search the car. The client said yes because he thought saying no would make him look more guilty. They found a small amount of marijuana in the center console. That broken taillight stop turned into a possession charge, all because the driver talked first. The taillight was never the issue. The issue was the driver's nervous mouth. And that nervous mouth was triggered not by guilt, but by a failure to do the 30 seconds of preparation before the officer reached the window. If he had just sat there, hands on the wheel, calm, silent, he would have gotten a warning and driven away. Instead, he gave the officer a reason to be curious. And curiosity, on a traffic stop, is a door that never closes the way you want it to. So let me give you the final piece. The thing that lawyers know that most people don't. You have a right to remain silent. You know that. But here's what they don't teach in school. Silence is not just a right. It's a strategy. And the time to start being silent is not after you've already said something incriminating. It's before the officer ever says a word. The silence begins the moment you put the car in park. You don't talk to yourself. You don't rehearse what you're going to say. You don't mutter, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." You just sit. You breathe. You lower your heart rate. You become the calmest person that officer has talked to all week. And that calmness is contagious. Officers deal with angry people, crying people, drunk people, lying people, scared people. They almost never deal with genuinely calm, respectful, still people. When you are that person, you become remarkable. Not because you're special, because you're rare. And being rare in a traffic stop works in your favor. Now I want to be clear about something. None of this is about manipulation. It's not about tricking the officer. It's about removing ambiguity. Every traffic stop is ambiguous. The officer doesn't know you. He doesn't know if you're a criminal or a teacher coming home from a long day. Your job in those first 30 seconds is not to prove your innocence. Your job is to remove the ambiguity that makes officers suspicious. Stillness removes ambiguity. Visible hands remove ambiguity. The dome light removes ambiguity. Asking permission before reaching removes ambiguity. Short, honest answers remove ambiguity. Every time you remove ambiguity, you lower the officer's stress level, and when his stress level lowers, his discretionary brain comes back online. And when his discretionary brain is online, he is far more likely to give you a warning instead of a ticket, to send you on your way instead of asking more questions, to end the interaction instead of extending it. That's the real secret. It was never about knowing the law perfectly. It was never about arguing your case at the window. It was never about reciting your rights like a script. It was about what you did in the silence before the knock. That moment when the officer is still in his car, watching you, deciding what kind of person you are. Most people waste that moment. They fidget, they panic, they move, and they unknowingly tell the officer, "I am something to worry about." But you don't have to be most people. You can be the one who sits still, who breathes, who waits, who understands that the most powerful thing you can do when someone with authority approaches your car is absolutely nothing at all. So here's my question for you, and I want you to actually answer it in the comments. After watching this, what's one thing you will do differently the next time you see those lights in your mirror? Not 10 things. One thing. Because change doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from choosing one action and making it automatic. For me, it was the hands. I used to take my hands off the wheel immediately to reach for my wallet. Now, I don't move until I'm asked, and that one change changed everything. You are not powerless in a traffic stop. You are not at the mercy of the officer's mood. You have a tool that most people never think to use. It's called preparation. And preparation starts right now, before the lights ever appear. You've already done more than most people by watching this video. Now the question is, will you remember? Will you sit still? Or will you do what everyone else does? The next time you hear that knock on the glass, you'll know. And knowing is the difference between a story you tell and a story you regret. Drive safe. Stay calm. And remember, what you do before the officer reaches your window matters most. Everything else is just cleanup.